Okay, let's call the meeting to order, please. Celeste, call the roll.
Case, Jadish, Evans. Here. Kasserag.
Here.
Leidig.
Here.
Mead.
Hi.
Slivka.
Here.
Jimison.
Here.
Stacking.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, third item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda.
We noticed it today, so we're up there.
Second.
before the
Moved and
room
seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, item number 4, approval of the minutes of the March 28, 2019 meeting, the marathon meeting.
I noticed Ron's name was misspelled.
Good catch.
That's about all I had.
Ron was going to say it.
It was close, Celeste, it's all right.
Was it throughout the whole thing? No.
No, just that one time.
On what page?
Page 2, the first vote.
You got to get that straight.
I know, right?
Yep.
Long meeting.
Anything else?
Good catch.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
I didn't get a primary motion.
Move to approve.
And a second?
Second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Okay. So we have one public hearing this evening. It's the Greenhouse Point Subdivision. The applicant is requesting 2 items. It's a map amendment to rezone the subject property from R1 low-density single-family residential district to a R3 medium to high-density single-family residential district. And the second request is a preliminary and final subdivision approval for a 20-lot single-family subdivision in the R3 medium to high-density single-family residential district, including a variation to reduce the right-of-way width from 66 to 60 feet. The location is the east side of Western Avenue and County Square Drive, and the applicant is Frank Nitty of Nitty Group LLC, Geneva LLC. At this time, I'll read the procedures we'll follow for the hearing. We now enter the public hearing portion of the meeting. It is the Plans Commission job to conduct these public hearings in order to receive testimony for and against petitions for general amendments to the zoning ordinance, zoning map amendments, zoning text amendments, special use permits, and amendments to special use permits. The procedure we will follow this evening is as follows. First, the Plan Commission secretary or designated representative will read or describe written items, reports, and plans into the record. Second, the petitioner will present testimony in favor of the petition and will present any supporting plans or exhibits. Third, the commission members will have an opportunity to question the petitioner. Fourth, the commission will then receive citizen testimony both for or against the petition. Questions about the proposal may be directed to the petitioner or the petitioner's witnesses, and questions about the Plan Commission process itself may be directed to me. Following such testimony, the petitioner and the Plan Commission may ask questions of those who testified. Finally, the petitioner may provide a rebuttal to any testimony in opposition. When all the testimony is brought into the record, the hearing will be closed and the Plan Commission will make a recommendation to the City Council in the form of motion or motions. In order to give testimony, please provide your name and address on the registration sheet as you walked into the entrance of the hearing room and sign in the space provided. By signing the registration sheet, you agree that you understand anything you say will be considered sworn testimony and affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. When giving testimony, please approach the lectern, speak directly into the microphone so that you may be heard. Please begin by stating your name and giving your address. If you speak additional times, please state your name each time for the record. Be concise when presenting your testimony, and if your point has already been made, it is not necessary to repeat it. Each of these points is recorded and will be considered as the Plan Commission develops findings of fact and recommendation or recommendations. You may provide your testimony in written form, but such written testimony must be presented to the Plan Commission secretary or designated representative prior to the close of the hearing. After the process is completed and everyone wishing to present testimony has spoken, the Commission will decide whether it has heard adequate testimony in order to make a decision. If it has, the public hearing will be closed. After the public hearing is closed, the Plan Commission will refrain from receiving any additional testimony either for or against the petition. There is one exception to this rule. City staff will submit a report based on the testimony presented at the hearing. This report will consider comments and concerns from all city departments, such as the fire department, public works department, or engineering department. Okay, any questions on that procedure? All right, at this time, I will administer the oath for those who have signed the registration form. Anyone wishing to give sworn testimony, ask questions, or cross-examine anyone giving sworn testimony, please stand and raise your right hand. Do you swear? Okay, got everybody? Do you swear and affirm that the testimony you're about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Thank you very much. Please be seated. Paul, what do we have for the record?
Contents of our Plan Commission file is a project narrative prepared by the applicant dated January 2nd, 2019. The land cash worksheet prepared by the applicant dated January 2nd, 2019. A project schedule in response to our map amendment standards prepared by the applicant January 11, 2019. A preliminary and final subdivision plat prepared by V3 Companies, revised March 29, 2019. Tree preservation and tree protection plan prepared by Gary Weber Associates, revision date March 28, 2019. Landscape plans prepared by Gary Weber Associates, revision date March 28, 2019. Preliminary engineering plans prepared by V3 Companies dated January 11, 2019. Stormwater management report prepared by V3 Companies dated April 1st, 2019. Minutes from the Plan Commission conceptual review meeting on October 11, 2018. Engineer's opinion of probable costs, public improvements prepared by V3 dated March 28, 2019. A land use opinion report prepared by V3 and the land use report from the Kane County DuPage Soil and Water Conservation District. A memorandum from the Community Development Department to the Plan Commission which summarizes the request and provides staff's analysis. A certificate of publication from the Daily Herald for the legal notice that was published on March 27, 2019 for tonight's public hearing, and a copy of the notification letter and a sworn affidavit stating that the notification letter was mailed to all property owners within 500 feet of the subject property.
All right, thank you very much. We'll hear from the applicant at this time.
Good evening. Can you guys hear? Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Nico Nitty with Nitty Development. We're here tonight to present our plan to the Commission and to the public for our vision of the approximately 7 acres located along Western Avenue and Country Squire Lane. A little bit about us. We're a family-owned second-generation real estate developers and general contracting company. My father started building in mid-'80s, and me and my siblings have been involved in the past 10 or 15 years. So we're excited about this project. I have these problems there. There we go. Most recently, our two past projects are Bertolli Development in Elmhurst. That was 56 homes built on the old Elmhurst Hospital site, 12 acres, and we acquired the property, took down the hospital, subdivided it into 56 single-family homes, and we're actually closing on our final home next month, so we're happy to. It was a very successful project for us. We also have Fairway Court that's currently in the midst of development. We are about half sold right now, with a 2020 completion. That's in Glen Ellen. It's a similar project to Bertolli Development, single-family homes. There's 14 single-family homes there. That one, same, we acquired the property, site development, and we are working on all the construction and the sales of the homes. In addition to these ones, these are development companies. We also are involved in a general contracting for a multifamily development in Elmhurst. We just broke ground on that. We worked with a publicly traded REIT actually for the past couple of years, developing plans, and happy to say that we're under construction there. So we're busy and well experienced in this type of construction. For the Greenhouse Point development, we're actually using the same team that we have utilized for these other two projects that I just talked to you about. We're with the building developers, Nitty Development LLC. Our engineer is V3 Companies. J&B Architects is our designer of the homes, and Gary Weber is the landscape architects. We also utilize Redfin Corporation for our sales and marketing, and we feel that we've been successful with our team, and we're excited to bring them along with this project. In the past few months, we've been working with the staff. It's been a pleasure working with the staff on Greenhouse Point, and this is 20 single-family home lots. Will range from about 8,500 square feet to 19, almost 20,000 square foot lots. We are requesting a change from the current zoning of R1 to R3, single family. And the only variance we're requesting is a reduction of the right-of-way from 66 to 60 feet. This is the plan as it stands, largely unchanged from the last time we were here. I think we changed some things in the right-of-way, but it's been a bit further developed. This is the landscape plan. We take a lot of pride in our landscaping of our developments. We like to use mature trees, and if you go into Elmhurst project, is actually a good example of that. We use 6-inch caliper trees that we spade in for parkway trees. We like to make it look like it's been there for a while, opposed to just small little run-of-the-mill trees. The houses that you see on there are largely they're similar size of what we're going to be doing, so the scale is so you can kind of see the scale of what it's going to be. We have the retention pond up in the north, and again, fully landscaped all the way around. We'll get into more of the details and with the engineer. Anything else? These are some examples of current homes, also product that we're going to be utilizing here. Because it'll range in sizes of lots, we're able to do houses that are larger and wider, and to some of the more standard sized lots. But at the end of the day, we're going to utilize the same methods that we use in our other developments. We tend to iron out about 3 to 5 floor plans that we work on that will market seems to like, and we will change with the use of different materials, different architectural features and styles. We make all the elevations different. So like our other projects, no two homes will be alike. They share common elements and architectural styles, but we like it when they all have individual character. And we get pretty hands-on with those ourselves, so we take good pride in that. But this is a couple of good examples. On the bottom right, we have a 2,100 square foot, that's a single-story ranch. In the top left would be a little bit larger home, probably you see in the corner lots. That's about a 3,200 square foot ranch. And some bit of our examples of our finish level, the way we build our homes. A couple more examples. This is actually we call that a 2-story ranch. It's this first floor master with bedrooms up top, or a study up top. And another example of a first floor master here, and some additional interior features of the quality of our homes. This is the engineering, or the plat of subdivision site plan, and I think I'm going to introduce Dan Free from V3 Companies to talk you through some of the details in engineering and the site plans.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the Commission. My name is Daniel Free. I'm with V3 Companies. We're a civil engineering firm located at 7325 Janes Avenue in Woodridge, Illinois. As Nico kind of outlined, this project's located along Western Avenue across from Country Squire Drive, and it's the location of a previous greenhouse that has been left vacant for the last few years. There are also 2 vacant houses on site, and those will be, all the structures will be removed at the start of construction. The proposed development will provide 20 new single-family homes. The access to the subdivision, as you can see, there's a northern access point along Western Avenue that is directly across from the Country Squire Drive. And then the southern access is about 320 feet south of that. The remaining 2 lots are going to be for a stormwater management facility on the north side of the site, and then there's also at the northern entrance, there's a curbed median there. That will be for landscaping there, and then both of those lots will be maintained by the homeowners association. The proposed improvements shown on this site plan are similar to what you would see among other residential neighborhoods in Geneva, and it includes the construction of an asphalt roadway, 11-foot parkway, and a 4-foot concrete sidewalk on either side. There will also be some off-site improvements, including the removal and replacement of the concrete sidewalk along Western Avenue, along the frontage of the entire property. Going into more detail about the stormwater management facility, there's currently no stormwater detention on the site, so the site runoff flows uncontrolled to the north and to the west. And the development that we're proposing will construct a wet bottom detention pond for stormwater management that will retain the stormwater runoff and discharge into existing storm sewer within Western Avenue. The proposed stormwater improvements were designed to meet the current Kane County stormwater ordinance that's adopted by the city of Geneva. So with all that said, what is it here that we're actually asking for this proposed project? As already outlined, we're seeking a zoning map amendment to change the current R1 low-density single-family zoning to R3 medium to high-density single-family. In addition to what was provided in the staff report, we believe this subdivision melds nicely with the surrounding area, and there's actually only 300 feet separating the nearest R3 district that's just on the other side of Fargo Boulevard to the south of the site. This development really functions as a standalone neighborhood because it is on its own loop road, so there won't be any traffic passing through this subdivision because the roadway is only there to serve these houses. And the development of this property is also limited by the size and shape of the property, and because of that, it is most conducive to 60-foot lot fronts. The smaller lot widths and lot areas, they help create a block of houses at the center of the subdivision, giving it more of a neighborhood feel rather than being kind of an awkward extension of Western Avenue. The second request is for a deviation to reduce the right-of-way width to 60 feet, which is a reduction from the standard 66-foot width. This deviation is necessary to achieve the sufficient lot depth, and similar to the reason already given, the roadway is a separate loop from the surrounding area, so there's no through traffic, and the width is only being reduced by 3 feet of parkway on either side of the roadway. And the design will still meet Geneva's code for a 30-foot pavement width. The typical roadway section is the next slide here. As you can see here, it still incorporates the sidewalk, parkway with trees and light poles, and then utilities as well. This has all been coordinated with staff to make sure that the plan before you works for both the initial construction as well as future maintenance. So those are the requests that we have for the proposed greenhouse project. I'll let the landscape architect finish off, and then we're happy to present or respond to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Gage Berger. I am with Gary R. Weber Associates. Our office is located at 402 West Liberty Drive in Wheaton, Illinois. This isn't going down.
Just dial it, I think it'll change for you. There you go.
It's saying this is the last page. This is the last page. Oh, you didn't put another one in.
No, it's up.
Okay. So this illustrative is based directly on our landscape plan. Along Western Avenue, we currently have existing overhead utilities, so we are kind of limited on what species could put there. We're providing some shorter shade trees within the right-of-way of Western Avenue, and then also along that boundary, providing some additional evergreens and ornamental trees to help screen those homes and separate them for that traffic. On the north side, we have the detention basin. We're proposing naturalized plantings along the edge and with the open water element in the middle with the aerator to help prevent mosquitoes from laying eggs in that pond. And also with the basin, we are clustering a lot of shade trees around there to help mitigate some of the trees that are being removed from the site currently, as well as providing a backdrop and screening along the north side for those homes that back up to it. Along the east and south side, we are proposing some additional shade trees in the rear lots, partly for the transition as well as the further mitigation for some of the trees that are being removed. With our current landscape plans, we are showing the minimum city required size with the understanding that needy development will upsize based on availability as well as existing site conditions, because we do have some tight spots where larger root balls could be a struggle. And that's basically it for the landscape plan, and we can turn it over for questions.
Okay. Brad, do you have anything?
Yes, my question, one of the things I think we talked about last year when the first came was the landscaping along Western Avenue, and just providing a buffer. Is there a berm or anything there, or it's just gonna be flat?
The houses on Western Avenue, they're gonna be facing Western Avenue, talking
Okay.
to stop. So you cannot put berms.
Frank.
They're facing
Frank,
west.
Frank, sir,
Frank.
sir, would you please come forward? You haven't identified yourself yet, so.
So basically,
You say
talking to
Sir,
staff,
sir, would you please say your name and where
oh,
you're
I'm sorry,
from?
Frank Nitty, 3099 Wall Street, Nitty Development, or Nitty Group, so.
Thank you.
So basically, answering your question, it won't be any berms, so we try to do as much as landscaping as possible, but the four, lot 1, 20, 15, and 14, they'd be facing, as you can see, it's hard to tell, it's kind of, we have a sidewalk going from the front door of the house to the driveway, so they'd be facing, because I think that, talking with staff, they were inquiring, says, well, the house across the street showing they're facing Western Avenue. So we kind of want to make this to be part of the neighborhood. So actually, those four houses be facing Western Avenue.
Understood,
Did I answer your question?
definitely, thank you.
Michael?
Nothing right now.
Ron?
Yeah, let's talk again about the price structure. Who's the target market?
Well, we're in the process of getting prices for designing homes. These are going to be kind of semi-custom. So we're gonna actually tell, what the market shows are. We're marketing ranch and two-story, but it'll be first floor master bedroom, two-bedroom upstairs. That's what we started out with, and then we'll see what the market, we're gonna market these two houses, but they're gonna be in the 5 to 6, depends what people pick out, and they could go up to 8, depends, people want brick and they want stone, and, we're doing this in other development at Bertell. We started out with some siding, people want a stone house, so we went from 800 to $1,500,000 to $1,800,000. So how much do you want to spend? So we're not gonna, it's just, we're gonna let the market tell us or the buyers see what they want to spend, we have to take into consideration the development cost, the property cost, and then it's going to be marketed at that point, so. But, we open to be in the 6 to 7, and it could go up from there. If you're looking at a 3,000 square foot ranch, I'm sure it's going to be up. And if it's going to be stone and bricks, so it's just what the people want to buy. And I'm sure there's a market for for people that could afford more, and God bless them. What can I say? They can spend the money. So we're gonna let the market tell us what we should build in here. I'm sure that it'll be a great project. You know, there's only 20 homes in there, but I think we'll have to see what happens.
I've been going through this process myself for the last couple of years. We've kind of been laughing about it and, you know, my travails because I can't find anything at a reasonable price. With a master down, I already have a master down, and I've got a, you know, a
Yeah.
moderate-sized home. And there's just nothing in Geneva, so I think you're gonna be on the money in terms of these are not available here. And nobody else is really trying to build them. They're very big houses now. My concern to you is, in my experience, if you're at 600K, I think you're gonna shut yourself out of the market. If you're looking for seniors trying to downsize, if you're looking for young folks trying to upsize, I think there's lots of potential. But I just would be
Like I
concerned
said,
about your pricing.
You know, that's why we're doing, you know, 2-bedroom on the second floor, because ranches are the most expensive homes you could build. The 2-story, it's easy. You got smaller foundation, and then you build on top, a smaller roof. So now when you double your foundation, you double your roof, it's right there. So, you know, and that's why we're saying we'll put 2-bedroom upstairs. So now your foundation is smaller, you could probably save 20%. So we're going that route, but some people don't want 2-bedroom upstairs. So, you know, they don't want to go upstairs. So, you know, and it depends on the age of people. You have some 50, 60 that their kids are going to college. Well, they don't mind, you know, when the kids come home, go upstairs, or I'm staying downstairs. So we have to look at that market. And, you know, like I said, we'll let the people tell us what they want us to build. So and if whatever budget they are, we'll try to meet them, but that's what we're doing right now.
We'll be watching, see how it goes, because it looks like it's gonna be neat, and I think there's.
I think it's going to be well. I think it's going to go quick. You know, we having people calling us that they're ready to buy. We didn't even get approved yet. So we said, we're not doing anything until we get a final approval, and then we can start talking. But we talked to the realtor. We have Redfin, and they seem to have a lot of clients that they're willing to come in the subdivision. And I think it's a great location. It's not even a mile away from downtown. The restaurant's right there. I just come from one from Levy. It was good food there. So, you know, but I think it'll be great. So I think it's going to be a good project. Any other question?
Oh, yeah.
Cindy.
Well, this is not really for them, it's more for staff.
Okay.
The Commons, great development, very nice, but the minute the developer walked away, there was problems with the landscaping, and the landscaping was dying, and I kept coming back to staff and saying, guys, stuff's dying, and no one's being responsible for this.
This is at the Commons, you were saying?
Uh-huh,
Okay.
couple of years back.
Okay.
Not sure who
We do
was-
have, we have gone back and looked at the landscaping plans.
Yeah, it took a while, long
Well,
time,
okay, we're getting
long
there.
time. But the developer had already gone. The Commons was built, it
Well,
was
they have a
all
management company.
right, and they didn't take care of it. And it took you guys going back there and saying, oh yeah, I guess those trees are dead. So what my question is while they're here needing their changing and needing all this stuff done, how are we going to make sure that that beautiful landscaping and the pond aeration, that if it breaks or something like that, will actually be fixed and actually be taken care of? I mean, they're gonna take the money, they're going to build a beautiful project, and then they're gonna walk away. How are we going to be sure that all that is going to be actually done and taken care of so that the residents aren't holding the bag?
Okay.
I think the trees within the right-of-way will be municipal trees. So those will be the responsibility of the city once the right-of-way is accepted, or dedicated and accepted by the city. So everything in the parkway will be maintained by the city, and if trees need to be trimmed, replanted, that'll be the city's responsibility. So that's along Western Avenue.
Let's go back to the Commons. They were in the right of way, they were not taken care of.
The Commons does not have a public right-of-way through the center.
Does on the road, that road, you know, like the right in
It's
the
a
middle of the
private-
road?
A private road.
In the middle of, you know, Kirk Road, you know, the road, trees. I mean Randall Road, I'm sorry. They were dead.
Okay.
Looked really bad.
Okay, well, so those trees will be the city's responsibility. Then you have the landscaping around the detention pond will be a common area that's maintained by the homeowners association. So that'll be the responsibility of the association, and then the trees that wind
Then
up.
let's go back to Fisher Farms, where the homeowners association went belly up and nothing got taken care of. My mother-in-law lived in Fisher Farms, and they had a homeowners association that had no money, and there was no teeth in their homeowners association. So they had stuff going wrong consistently, and all their stuff was a problem. And then the city was left holding the bag on that one, and things just kind of didn't get done. So I'm just trying to figure out, how do we solve this problem ahead of time?
So,
Because it seems like the landscaping, which is kind of like at the end of a project, just, it's like, well, good luck.
so the association would be responsible for those trees. There's a backup special service area that is in place in the event that the association is not properly maintaining either the pond or the landscaping surrounding the pond, which allows the city to then levy a tax against the properties within the development and generate the funds necessary to make those repairs if needed. So there is that backup that we would have in place.
That didn't work so well at Fisher Farms.
I can't speak to Fisher Farms. I was well before my time, so I'm not familiar with that issue.
That was an issue. All right, the second thing is parking. Is there going to be room for parking on the street?
Yeah, I think that we park on one side, you want to answer that? Yeah, you could park at one side of the street, so it'll be.
You can.
Yeah, it will be no parking on one side of the street, but you could park on the other side. But I think the city has, overnight, you cannot park on the street. So there will be signs that they're on the plan already that we're going to be installing for that.
Because my concern's going to be is, what if you have people who move in and they have little children, and then the children have a habit of getting older, and then they get a license, and then you've got a couple of kids who drive, and then you've got several cars, and
Well, I mean, there's 2-car garages on these lots. Some of them might be 3-car garage, depends on the size of the lot. You know, you could park 2 or 3 in the garage and 2 in the driveway, so it's 5 cars. So if you have more than that, you get one of those lifts or something like that. I don't know. You know, I think everybody has that problem. So if you have a lot of kids, I guess, you know, I don't know. We cannot accommodate, but there's quite a bit. If you could park 4 cars, you know, 2 in the garage and 2 on the driveway, I think, you know, that accommodates, you know.
okay, thank you very much. It looks
welcome.
nice.
Anybody else?
Yeah, do you have anything?
I have a couple of minor questions. Is the retention pond going to be fenced?
The retention pond be fenced? No.
No, okay.
That's
Yeah.
never,
Split rail they have, I
the split rail, but, you know, you mean fence all the way around? No, it's just, you know, it's, it goes to every subdivision, we put a split rail, but really that's, if you're talking about a fence all the way around, no, there'll be vegetation and stuff like that. But we'll have an aerator there, which is a fountain that, you know, looks nice, moves the water around, and you don't have weeds and all that other stuff, mosquito collecting in there. So that's the reason we do that. And they'll be maintained from the homeowner association.
Are these, is the subdivision going to have any exterior maintenance of the lots for the homeowners, or they're?
You know, we have done that in the past. It seems like some people like to maintain their own lawn, and they don't want to pay the association. So right now, we're starting as just a simple association to just maintain lot 20 and 21, which is the little island in the middle by the street, and the retention pond. once we turn over the association, try to 50% of the property, and you get 50% of the people moving in, they could vote on their own, see what they want to add to the association. So they have the right to do that. So if while they're all there and they decide that they want to hire a maintenance company to cut their lawn or snow plow your driveway, they're freely to add and subtract, on the association. They're going to be running it. So I feel better that time, because once you start putting $100, $150 a month, we don't want to start with that. We did that in the past, and I think it's better if the residents decide what they want to do. I think that's a better choice.
Some people are attracted, if they, particularly older folks, if they know that that is something they're getting with the property, but it's certainly, your decision based on your own
Like
marketing.
I said, they can make that decision. Depends who moves in there. The Foreign Association, they could vote on it, and, if the majority wants it and the majority wants it, I think that's fine.
The only other comment I have is I appreciate your turning those houses on Western Avenue to face the street. That was something I was concerned about last time.
Yeah, I think
folks
that
were
was
here.
a good idea. I think part of the staff suggested, and if you see the development, Berthold development with the hospital, we did all the houses on Berthold, we did the same similar thing. And I tell you what, those sold fast because they were able to put a 3-car garage there. And they have it's a long house. So I think that's going to be looking
And
very
there's the
nice.
side- Be a side-loaded garage, which is always
Yeah,
appealing.
actually, the staff recommended, and I says, wow, that's a good idea because we did another project, so that's why we went that route. I think it's going to be great.
It looks very nice.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I just had a question on the tree preservation plan. Did you look at preserving some of those specimen trees in the middle on lot 20 and 16, and if we could pull the drawing up?
Well, we did and I could have Gage answer that, but basically, there's some, big trees there, but none of them are, I think there's only one that it's a good species, but,
Okay.
if it lands where the foundation is, so we would try, but I don't think anything, that's the reason why we're replacing all, the trees, and we adding more trees just to compensate for those.
Yeah, I always like to preserve the existing if possible.
It's just, like I said, I think we tried, and it happens to be where, the street is or something like that, but.
Some are a little more difficult. You do have a drainage through there, so you have to run some pipe and stuff, but
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, we have done a lot of subdivision. Every time you try to save a tree, and, you just go, you cut the roots, and 3 years later, 5 years later, they die. So why even go that route? I just learned the hard way, and it costs more to take them down later and replace them than do a nice landscaping. And like Nico said before, at Berthold, I found a good deal that we spade them in, the parkway trees, and we're putting like 5, 6, 7 inch, and they're like, 30 feet tall. So I would like that if you guys, if you drive by there, it looks like a mature subdivision already, so we're showing 3 inch, but, I'm gonna look around and see if I can do the same thing, because it makes the subdivision looks like, I know that the surrounding area, there's a lot of mature trees. So we put some bunch of maples, oak trees, and combination of that, of course, the city has to approve those species, but I think it looks great, but that's what we're trying to do.
it's one of my pet peeves.
I'm sorry?
That's one of my pet peeves, is preserving some of the existing trees.
Yeah, I know, I just, they're old trees, and I find out that the older they are, the sooner they die, so.
Yeah, I just don't know if they're in good condition. That's kind of, just sometimes they're not
They're
in good condition.
not, I could have a landscaper respond to those, I didn't go to single trees, but I walked around there, and there's a big pine tree that, and there's some big one next to the house, which after the roots are gone, and so it's a matter of time they're gonna go, so.
Yeah, when you tear the house down.
Yeah, so, but I think, in 10 years of subdivision, those trees, they'll be way up there, and they'll look much better than an old one.
Okay,
That's my personal opinion, though, but.
all right.
Anything else? Anybody else?
Anything else, guys? Nope, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll start the public comment at this point, so we get the sheet. two. I'm sure there's more.
I think the first one's on their team.
Oh, okay. I think it's Angela, Pebble Beach, Geneva, yes. And I can't.
Good evening, Angel Biscash, Pebble Beach Court, Geneva, 15-year residence in Eagle Brook. Just probably some basic questions about rezoning, maybe for the committee. Is there a problem that we're trying to solve by rezoning this from low to high density? And then the number 2 on the request from the developers, a variation to reduce the required right-of-way width from 66 feet to 60 feet. Is that a function of the number of houses that are trying to be put in that area? And why would we maybe need to squeeze 20 houses? And if we didn't do that, would they need to shorten that right-of-way?
Okay.
The reason, your first question about the change in the zoning to a smaller, that is the right of the petitioner to ask that. You can always ask to amend something. That's why we have a public hearing to see if it makes sense tonight. But, so it increases as in the report that it goes from, we approximate maybe 12 to 20 houses total. So it's not unlimited in that amount, but they always have the right to ask to do that. As far as the, you are correct that, and the petitioner stated that, that one of the benefits of having the smaller right-of-way is to allow lot size for their units, so they can meet the minimum lot sizes throughout. So that's one of the reasons. But they were also able to fit everything that we request into a smaller area.
Okay, I'm sorry, what were some of those that you requested to fit into that area that you just
Well,
mentioned?
it's the regular utilities of gas,
Okay.
water, storm sewer, electric, whatever's what he showed in that cross-section of the right-of-way.
Okay. I just had a question about the retention pond. What is to the north side of that? I think they mentioned maybe in the report that that's some electric station and
It's a
that.
substation, electric substation.
Okay. And then that's something that you're considering in the requests for the
Yeah.
development, is that the retention pond? Because currently there's no retention pond, correct, on the
Correct,
property? Okay.
yeah. That's how they're going to manage the water on the site, is by having that.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Okay, does anyone else wish to speak on this? Anyone else? Yes, sir. Please come forward and state your name and address.
My name is Bob Erickson. I live at 1500 Country Squire Drive in Geneva. I've been a homeowner here since 1995 in the same home. This is just down the street from this development. I had a question related to the spacing between homes, particularly on the south end of this development, how far apart they'll be. I realize that it could be based upon the style home that's chosen, but is there a restriction on how close the homes can be?
Yes.
The minimum setback is 6 feet from the property line, so there'd be a minimum of 12 feet between homes.
So basically, you can shake hands with your neighbor from your home.
I'm lanky, I don't think,
Yeah, that's pretty close together considering the development in the rest of the area here. That's quite close. 12 feet is,
That's the minimum amount. Some of these lots it will be a little larger too.
but if they choose to make a bigger home on a bigger lot, like they were suggesting, the minimum is going to be a 12-foot distance between these. So back to the number of homes, it's probably driven by how many homes can be built on the property to cover their economics of doing the development. I get that. I had one other question too, back to the homeowner association. is the homeowner association driven by the developer, or is it driven by the city of Geneva?
It's really driven by, I guess, both, because there's common areas that won't be under the ownership of the city. So those areas will need to be maintained by an association.
Has that been begun in terms of drafting it, or is it complete?
We have requested copies of those covenants and restrictions for the homeowners association prior to city council approval. And we will have to establish that backup special service area along with this detention area.
Well, I share the concerns of one of the planning commissioners here as far as homeowner associations go. I previously lived in a development that had a homeowner association. They're really only as strong as the document. And even the document trying to enforce that is difficult. You mentioned that there's leverage in terms of the city applying increased property taxes on the homes. Again, the people have to pay the money. And then somebody in the development has to take the leadership role of running the homeowner association. That's not necessarily an enviable job because you're sort of the cop on the street. Depends upon the neighbors and depends upon the people that buy in there. But if the homeowner association is going to make the rules, particularly on the pond, that I would hope would be a continued concern for the commission. Those do tend to get messy. And the upkeep on them is not cheap, and the chemicals to reduce the mosquitoes and maintaining all of that is considerable. So those are my concerns. Well, actually, there's one more. The parking situation on the street. If people do have friends over or whatever, the parking is limited to not be overnight. I mean, is that going to be
Most of the
patrolled?
neighborhoods in Geneva, that is, you can't park overnight.
Okay, well, again, the enforcement of that is based upon the situation, but I just would be concerned about overflow coming elsewhere into the neighborhood. Because there are people that do park overnight on the street, in cul-de-sacs particularly. So, that's it. If the homeowner association situation is worked on by the city with them, hopefully our city attorney will be reviewing that closely. Is that standard? Or is that up to the commission?
I guess it depends on the nature of the association's covenants and restrictions. We haven't seen that draft yet.
Yeah.
But we will be reviewing it as a development staff team, and if we have concerns, we will certainly consult with our attorney.
Okay, great. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir. Come forward. Name and address.
Wasn't planning, but I think I will tonight.
Okay.
Name, Gunther Lubin. I live over at 733 Meadows, a few blocks to the east of here. You know, this development won't particularly bother me, but I mean, what I'm concerned about a little bit is the impact we have of dropping R3 in the middle of an R1 area. What disservice are we doing to the homeowners around here? Because everyone around that property, and I have neighbors that live here, Funkhausers were good friends of mine living at the corner up there by the pond, that now you had people at all times anticipating, I think at one time, 10, maybe 12 homes were originally laid out here. I guess my question to the Plan Commission, have we looked at a R1, R2 solution from this developer? I mean, are they coming to the table here just with an R3 solution? Because logically, I mean, a developer is going to come to the table with their best solution for the seller to get the most money. And as they're smart developers, and I've been in development all my life, you're going to have fallback positions. Hopefully, they'll have a contingency for an R2 option, or R1 option, probably a little cheaper buying price to bring the numbers down to make sense. But this is, these homes are gonna be 12 feet apart. I mean, developers are gonna maximize this. They're gonna try to get the biggest house they can on these lots, and this is gonna be awful dense. That's what my big concern. So has the city seen an R1 or R2 option from this developer?
We have not.
Okay. Has that been brought up by Plan Commission to look at that option? We're only looking at R3. As of right
Just
now.
their right to.
No,
bring it
I get it. No, as a petition, you would. That's right. As a developer, I'd argue my best case too.
Yeah, and I think they're bringing that forward because that's what they would buy the land for a number of units.
Absolutely. The seller wants to maximize their price. They're going to get the most money getting an R2. I remember when they were trying to sell for R6 a few years ago, they were trying to get much higher density, and everyone around here kind of said that's way too dense. It's just a real concern. I think we ought to be looking at R2 options. At one time, there was more green space in there. I know one time, one of the original drawings had, I think, a park in there, some green space. I see none of that here. There's awful tight lots for what we're looking at. I haven't heard a market study by the city or by them supporting the density of an R3. Do we have documentation support? Is this size a home? I hear numbers thrown at ranch to 2 stories. I don't think that's all been worked out yet, but
Yeah, this is one of the sites on our Homes for a Changing Region that could handle more
Yeah,
density.
of course.
And our overall plans are to have more housing diversity.
Yep.
So having just R1 and larger homes wouldn't be much diversity.
I hear you. Well, you've accommodated that a little bit down south, right? We have done that down by the Riverbank Acoustics, right? We have higher density there with the townhomes, correct? Okay. Well, I would just question this. I think you ought to look at an R2 solution, maybe an R1 solution just for your back pocket, but it just looks awful tight. If I was a neighbor and up to this and I seen 2 homes going in the same, as you look east of these homes, I've got lots 5 and 6 there. I mean, I know the neighbor lives behind there and he has 1 lot and now he's gonna have 2 homes behind him. So it's pretty tight. So I would ask the Plan Commission to look into that. Okay?
Thank you.
Yep.
Anyone else wishing to speak? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Andy Eulogaz, and I'm actually the person that Gunther was just talking about, and I live, well, behind the wooded lot there of the property on the right side. And I'm a long-term resident of Geneva. I lived here in the 70s and 80s, left, and then came back about 3 years ago. And we bought 1116 Dunstan. And I guess my question's a little bit specific because there's a woods that borders, as you probably know, the right side of the property here. Okay. So most of that woods I own, but part of it is on your side. I think it's about 6 feet or something like that. So it's like maybe this much. And there's trees through there, so it's like a woods, right? And it runs all along all those properties on the right side. There's probably like hundreds of trees. Some are small, some are large. So I guess what I wanted to know is what are you going to do with those trees, and are you going to put a fence up, or I guess it's a question for the landscaper.
Sir, would you please come forward so everyone can hear?
So, basically, I'm not sure, one of the residents, I don't know if it was you, called the office and, or that was not you,
No, it wasn't
about, they lived back there, to wonder if we give them access to cut some of the trees down, but, so it's not you, so. If you look at the engineering plan, maybe Dan could assume we have a fence to protect your trees, so we'll be doing that, so, and it's on the plan, and it was already approved from the staff, so.
Sure. Just looking at the demolition plan here. So there are a handful of trees that are going to be removed along the property line.
Could you
Is it gonna
please
be-
show that on the screen if possible?
Is it going to be removed like
So the
right
rest of
up,
us
so
can
right
see
up
it?
into the property line? You're going to remove all the trees right up into the property line? You're going to leave some there?
We're taking down because we got storm sewer and stuff like that going here, but as far as talking about that you're concerned about your trees, no, we won't be cutting them down. We're just gonna try to, because there's just the branches coming in.
Yeah.
Anything that's on our property, we have the right to take it down, but we don't have the right.
If the branch is hanging over, you
Yeah,
can take
branch,
that.
we could trim them and we'll talk to you about that.
Yeah.
Whatever, if they're dead trees, we'll trim, we'll be glad to help you out with that. And then if the crown of the tree comes in our property, so, and Dan can show you that, it was, we put with that red fence to make sure nobody goes under, ruins the tree and everything, so that's all on the plan already.
Yeah, and there's,
Yeah.
sorry, just,
let me
so there's the electric poles there and the electric line.
Right, so I was gonna bring
So
up-
we're not touching any of that. So basically anything beyond that on the other side is not gonna be touched. And then we're, as much as possible, we're saving some of those trees.
Oh, so you're not gonna, because the wood stops, right? And then the electric poles
Yeah.
are there.
Correct.
And then there's nothing on the other side. So-
There's a handful of trees on the other side.
Oh, and that's what you're talking about?
Yes,
Okay, I
yes.
got you. Yeah, okay. Yeah, I guess that was my question. Yeah,
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, when we're out there.
And what's the drainage thing that you were talking about? Like,
Yeah, there's a
those-
storm sewer there.
the storm
Yeah,
sewer.
there's storm sewer, and then also there were some current concerns for, I think it's your property, that it doesn't drain all that well. We're adding a drain right on the property line behind one of the lots, and then there's also going to be some storm sewer stubs at the property line for future, if there's any concerns that the property owner can connect to those.
I see. Okay. And how are you going to account for, again, all the mosquitoes in that pond? I mean, are you sure that that's going to take care of, because that'll be a breeding ground for mosquitoes? Can you explain that a little bit more?
Yeah, so, yeah, for the mosquitoes concerns, that was something that was brought up by city staff during the review. And first of all, there's attempts to mitigate that by having grass species and the way that the landscape plan is worked out to kind of create a habitat for natural predators for mosquitoes. That doesn't always work, so then kind of as the fail-safe is that there's going to be an aerator in there, and the aerator helps disturb the water, and then mosquitoes won't
But the aerator's
lay eggs
going
there.
to go in for sure? That's not an
Yes,
afterthought?
Yeah,
yes,
it's on the
correct.
plan already.
Yep.
Okay.
We'll put a light in there too, so you could like, it'll be nice looking at night, you know, so.
Okay, well, I don't know if I'll be able to see it,
Oh.
but okay. Yeah, I think that pretty much covers it, except one other thing. There is a tree that I just built a little fort on top for my kids, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's sort of on the property line, but I'm not really sure. It might kind of, I don't know, but maybe we can,
I mean,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I
that's
think it's
the
on
end
the
of-
border or something,
that's
but
the-
maybe we,
You know, that's at the end of the lot,
so
so.
when they see it, if they're taking stuff down, can they come and see me to make sure?
Yeah,
that
we'll make
if
sure.
you're doing
If you
that?
give us, we'll give you my card. When we start, we'll contact all the neighbors. Because there was another residence that we're worrying about. Actually, he wants to take down some of the trees because they're dead. And they want us to give them, access there, or they want to talk to our tree removal company. So I told them when, once we're finalized, get a final approval, then we'll contact them before we do any removal. And we could contact you also. So you'll see us out there, so you can
Yeah.
walk anytime on that.
And how are you going to get rid of that massive coal burning thing in the building we're taking down?
In the
It's like-
chimney?
Yeah, well, there's like a furnace in there.
Yeah, it's coming now.
Yeah, so
Take
we
a
take
plane
it out.
and just phone. We took down a hospital in Elmer.
Okay. Looks like we got that all resolved.
This is, it's a piece of cake.
All right. Yes, sir. Well, I think the gentleman behind you wanted to speak, and then I'll let you speak again if you want to.
Good evening. My name is Glenn Harks. I live at 3713 Ridge Point in Geneva. I've been a longtime resident of both Geneva and St. Charles. We sold our house in St. Charles because we wanted to come to Geneva. When we did that, we looked for good quality houses that weren't 5,000 square feet and that weren't $1.2, $1.5 million. And quite frankly, we couldn't find really nice quality houses that size. My wife and I went out to the development they've got going on in Glen Ellen right now. And if you guys haven't been out to that development, it is a really nice home. And I think this gentleman right here talked about, so I'm 64 years old, retired. What we're looking for, and there's a lot of people in my neighborhood today, and there's a lot of people that I know in town that would like to have a quality home, and we don't want, 3/4 of an acre property anymore. I know the issue of, it's 12 feet apart. Quite frankly, I don't want a half an acre to deal with anymore. And there's a lot of folks that are looking for a really nice home with a nice lot that they can go work in, but not spend all weekend working in that property. And so I would just suggest, for those that are concerned about this, go take a look at the houses that they built. We were very close to buying one in Glen Ellen because I grew up in Lombard. My wife grew up in Glen Ellen. But quite frankly, we've been here in the Fox Valley for over 30 years, and we want to stay here. We want to stay close to Geneva. We want to be able to have access to the town, but we don't want a huge house. I think this development is going to fit the mark here. And if the price point comes in kind of where I saw the price point that they've got in here right now, quite frankly, I think those 20 homes will sell like that. Because I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to go and buy those houses. And I think Frank talked about the cost of the houses. If people want to spend the money, they're going to spend the money. But if they get in a price point that, folks that are retired can get into, and when I look to the quality, it's really nice. I think this will really be a nice addition to Geneva. And it will allow people like myself that want to stay in town to have a nice home in town where I don't have to live west of town, load my bike up on my car, drive into town. I can just jump on my bike and go wherever I want. So my comment is, if you haven't seen it, really take a look at what they built. It's a really quality house. I mean, they're beautiful houses. Frank talked about the fact that they don't look the same. By the way, I've never met Frank. I have never met him. But when you look at the quality of the house from the outside, they are very, they have commonality to them, but they're all very distinct and they look different and people make them look nice. So I think it'll be a nice addition to our town, and it'll allow a lot of people like myself that want a decent size home to stay in town and continue to spend a lot of money right in town. So that's only my comments. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Anyone else wishing to speak? Okay, does the applicant wish to say anything additional at this time? It's up to you.
Yeah, I guess just a blanket statement to address residents' concerns. Like we said again, we've taken down hospitals in the middle of Elmhurst, and Glen Ellen is a similar thing. It's in the middle of an existing neighborhood, just north of the country club. So just to address, the neighbors, if there's ever concern, reach out to us. We like working directly. We address all the neighborhoods. We understand that we're coming into a neighborhood. We don't want to just come in and try and be in and out. We like to take, we don't want to rip anybody's forts down and stuff of that nature. So that's really it, and that's our target market. Just kind of answer your question, gentlemen, like that. I think he hit it right on the head. We're looking to address the people who want to stay in town, and that's what we see. We saw the same thing in Glen Ellen and the same thing in Elmhurst. There's a big demand for people who are not looking for a huge lot. Some of these urban suburbs are right there where people want to be. They don't need the big property. They want to be close to town, and the access to town is really what the luxury of being in a neighborhood like this is. So that's it, and thank you for your time.
All right, thank you.
I have a question.
Yes.
With the parking situation, I guess I share some concerns about that, picturing more like a graduation party where there's a lot of people at one house and then you've got all the other residents, and there's only parking on one side of the street allowed right now? I'm just saying this hypothetically, we didn't grant that 6-foot relief, would there be parking on both sides of the street or still not?
No, the proposed roadway width meets the minimum standard, so it's not the road that's getting skinnier. It's actually the grass parkway area that's being reduced 3 feet on each side. And the reason to have parking restricted to one side of the street is to ensure that emergency vehicles can still pass if there are vehicles on the street.
Okay.
Can I say something regarding that? I meant
Yeah,
to say that too, actually. So our Berteau development actually has the same thing, where we have, let me get back to it, a few PDFs here. So in our Berteau development here, it's same thing, it's parking only on one side of the street, and in that inner block anyhow, I think it's the same thing on Third Street as well. And this is, inside of that, there's 32 single-family homes with families, and there's never been a time, even with construction traffic, that we had that problem. I mean, obviously, we're not there on the weekend, but just kind of going through it, I've never once seen a problem with parking on one side of the street. We had that same concerns as you guys when we did Elmhurst. We were actually trying to push for both, but it was an emergency vehicle, and it really hasn't become an issue. So, and that's with it was a 50-foot right away. Well, the road is the same size, and we have parking on one side. And
What occurs to me, though, is that it's a little bit of unique because there's no parking on Western. And then, I don't even know, is there parking really on Country Square right there? Or do you have to go down, sort of turn the corner down one of the cul-de-sacs, down Country Square a little bit?
to defer back to Berteau, which is the main street, Berteau Avenue here, is no parking on that street at all. So the only parking for off of driveways is on one side along the New Street, Joanne. And again, we have never heard of a complaint, anybody complaining about lack of parking for parties and stuff of that nature. And we were concerned about that too. We were actually looking at a market condition if some of you didn't, wasn't interested. But it hasn't been an issue, and there's more houses in a smaller area there, so.
Okay.
Okay. Anything else?
That'd be the worst case scenario.
Yeah.
I'll move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Moved and seconded.
Evans?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Leidy?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Stocking?
Aye.
Ma'am, are you going to do the motion?
I can do it unless somebody else wants to.
David?
Go
Just
for it.
wanted to clarify, it should be two separate motions. There should be a motion on the map amendment first, and then if that passes, then a motion on the plat of subdivision.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the map amendment request to rezone the subject property from R1 low-density, single-family residential district to R3 medium to high-density, single-family residential district.
Include the findings.
Per the findings of fact.
Second.
So let's call the roll, please.
Evans?
Aye.
Kasserag?
Aye.
Leidy?
Aye.
Slivka?
Aye.
Stevenson?
Aye.
Stocking?
Aye.
Passes.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
I just wanted to point out to the commission that there was a number of conditions on page 9 of the staff report that were recommended for approval, including the backup special service area, and the covenants and restrictions being provided prior to approval by the city council. I just want to make sure the commission's had a chance to review those.
Yeah.
What page are those on, David?
Page 9 of the staff report.
Okay.
Seven.
Where's the last?
So they got covenants, conditions, special service area, final engineering. Applicant provide documentation from the Kane County Health Department verifying the abandonment of the private wells on the property. Applicant create a vacation approval by city council for the purchase of 283 square foot adjoining the property retention pond for the city of Geneva. So that's for the substation.
There's a small portion of right-of-way adjacent to the detention pond area. It's a small
Oh, yeah.
triangular piece. It's kind of a no man's land that's needed to help
Get in and out of.
grade the detention pond area, so they need to purchase that property
Oh,
from the
okay, so
city.
you got to give it, okay.
Right.
The applicant will make a cash contribution to the Geneva School District. It's a park district as well as there's a seventh one, the cash contribution to the Geneva Park District. That's per city ordinance, so. So, your motion.
Well, make a motion for the second portion of this then?
Yep.
Mr. Chairman, I move to approve the request for preliminary final subdivision approval for a 20-lot, single-family subdivision in the R3 medium to high-density, single-family residential district, subject to the conditions recommended, the 7 conditions recommended by staff.
Second.
Okay, call the roll, please.
Evans,
Aye.
Kasserag,
Aye.
Leidig,
Aye.
Slivka,
Aye.
Stevenson,
Aye.
Stocking.
Aye.
Passes.
Okay, very good. So this goes council.
May 6th is the next city council meeting this can go to.
Thank you very much.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. As usual.
Always happens.
Guys,
Hey,
we still have
we're
some
just,
bit-
we're just gonna conclude a
still have
little
some
business.
business to do, so if you could please, yeah. Still have a little bit of additional,
The,
hang
let me, go ahead.
on. Yeah, go ahead, Paul.
All right. As you know, the next meeting, April 25th, will be the exciting conclusion of our downtown zoning. or hope-
Exciting conclusion.
What do you
It
have
will be
in
the
mind?
next chapter of
What
our
are you gonna
downtown.
bring to the meeting?
It better
So-
be good, Paul.
There's a chance it'll go less than midnight, so, anyway. But,
Better go less than midnight.
so, anyway, so that one, you guys saw the first part of it, and you'll have the,
Are we just talking
staffs.
about that one area?
No, the whole
We're
hearing's
still-
open.
The whole thing is still open?
There'll be
So
a
you could-
presentation.
You can talk about whatever on the
Is
whole-
it-
it's still open.
It's the only thing on the agenda that night?
Correct.
So, any concerns still?
Was there
No,
another
Mike
notice
was in-
sent for the meeting, or is it just like?
We sent out notice to those properties that were recommended for changes at the last meeting. Most of those property owners attended that meeting and were in favor of the proposed changes, so I don't expect that they would attend again. So we'll focus on that Peyton Street area. And then there was one additional concern that was raised by another property owner after the public hearing, so we'll address one other property. And then any other concerns the commission has.
And then we're getting close for the next meeting, May 9th, that we probably would have Oberweis on that, that date too. So we should have some for the next couple of meetings.
Okay.
What's Oberwise gonna do?
What's that?
What is Oberwise?
Oberweis is in front of the at-home Fabian Common, Fabian Crossing, where we, they're doing the outlot there. That's going to be 3 different Oberweis products, a pizza, the Oberweis, and
It's that burger joint.
that burger, yeah. So a concept, they have it in a couple other places. They have some of these concept they're trying here, so
Oberwise, just pizza?
they they have a pizza product and a burger product.
Where else are they located?
We've got one in Glen Ellen, I think, on
There's one on
Roosevelt.
Roosevelt Road.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
There's only a couple.
I think there's one in Bolingbrook,
I
too.
think there's one
That's
on
the other one.
Ogden Road, I think maybe Downers Grove.
Yeah.
I haven't seen them. Okay.
But, so anyway, that's, to working with them, they were gonna go last fall, and then they reduced the size of their building, so now, anyway, looks like it might be in May.
Is there any update on Mill Race Inn? Did that,
The charrette.
We've been going back and forth with comments on the redevelopment agreement that we've drafted. I actually just prior to this meeting received their revised comments. So if we're able to get those all resolved tomorrow, we were hopeful that it could go to the council next week. So that, I don't know, I won't know until tomorrow for sure if that goes next week, but I think we're close to bringing it forward to council for
so that goes
consideration.
straight to the council? That doesn't go through us?
Doesn't come
or-
here.
The redevelopment agreement, it's just authorizing the city's participation with Shodine to hold the charrette.
Oh, we haven't
Oh, that
called it.
thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it
that's
was already
the-
done.
Right, and then
that'd
there
be
will
cool.
be involvement from the entire community, including, of course,
Gotcha.
the
Okay.
But you're
commission.
still working with the contractor on the charrette process.
We're still trying to finalize the agreement to present to council.
Final, okay.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Okay, so it's gonna be in the summer then.
It's what we're hoping, is early summer, before everyone takes off on vacation.
Okay.
The property that was proposed for a nursing home over by Delnor,
Right.
it has a for sale sign on it again. Is that back to square one there?
Yeah,
Right.
Meadowbrook Manor,
Yeah.
and it looks like, correct, it looks like they may have thrown in a towel, so
So will it be a nursing home?
we don't know. It's currently restricted to like a nursing home or a assisted living, so it has very, very few permitted uses. So it'll either come in for a change, or it'll meet those assisted living, nursing home, independent living. So
Where is that? By Delmar?
it's on the south, it's on Kesslinger, on the south side of Delnor.
Okay.
Right, there's like two little office buildings, and then just west of that, there's a vacant
Big-
5-acre parcel.
Okay.
Big trees right near the street, right there. It's just, you crest the hill.
Oh, really?
I mean, it would be perfect for a nursing home.
Where the bike
Absolutely
path is
perfect.
missing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's.
where the
there you
bike
go.
path is
That's
missing.
what we need.
That's
Right,
the
that's
spot.
right.
Yeah, Ron.
What is going on with that home, south of the train station, south of the tracks? It's over the water there, you know, you take that first, Cheever,
Yeah.
one block in from Third Street.
Oh, because of the
block
public
west of
hearing
Third.
sign posted there?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right, I noticed that
That's part
too.
of the proposed South Geneva Historic District. So that's being considered by,
historic district.
right, that's being considered by the Preservation Commission next week.
How far south does that go? Fargo?
No, I think not even as far as Ray. Peck Road was the Peck.
The Peck.
Is it 16 lots, 18?
There's 20 lots.
20 lots that are kind of connected.
Okay.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Woo.
Beautiful.